Chapter 1, Section 3 of Cup of Gold. This is Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. Read by Kurt from Tucson, Arizona. Cup of Gold by John Steinbeck. Young Henry turned soon from the road to climb up a broad trail which soared to Cragtop and then over the wild mountains. Its winding could be seen from below until it disappeared into the great cleft. And on the topmost point of the trail dwelt Merlin. Merlin, whom the farm boys might have jeered at and stoned on his infrequent journeys down the path, had they believed him harmless. But Merlin was one who collected about himself a swarm of little legends. It was established that the Tylwyth Teg obeyed him and carried his messages through the air on soundless wings. Children whispered of his acquaintance with certain mottled weasels, which might carry on his vengeance had he need of such. Then, too, he kept a red-eared dog. These were terrific things, and Merlin one not to be trifled with by children who did not know all the signs for protecting themselves. Once Merlin had been a fine poet, the old people said, and might have been a greater. They would softly sing the Sorrow of Plaith or the Spear Song to prove it. Several times he had taken the chief prize of the Eisteddfod, and would have been chosen first bard if an aspirant of the House of Rice had not entered against him. Then, without known cause, and Merlin a young man too, he had shut up his song in the stone house on Cragtop, and kept it a strict prisoner there, while he grew old, and those who had sung his songs forgot them or died. The Cragtop house was round like a low gray tower, with windows letting sight on the valley and on the mountains. Some said that it was built by a beleaguered giant centuries ago to keep his virgins hidden while they were in that state, and others that King Harold had fled there after Hastings to live out his life, ever watching and peering with his one eye down the valley and over the mountains for the coming of Normans. Merlin was old now. His hair and long, straight beard were white and soft as spring clouds. There was much about him of an ancient druid priest with clear, far-seeing eyes which watched the stars. The pathway narrowed on young Henry as he climbed. Its inward side was a stone wall cutting into the heavens knife-like, and the misshapen, vague images along the way made it seem the rock temple of some old crude god whose worshippers were apes. There had been grass at first, and bushes, and a few brave, twisted trees, but upward all living things died of the rock loneliness. Far below, the farmhouses huddled like feeding bugs, and the valley shrank and drew into itself. Now a mountain closed in on the other side of the trail, leaving only a broad chasm to the sky. A fierce, steady wind poured out of the blue heavens and shrilled toward the valley. Upward the strewn rocks were larger and more black and dreadful, crouched guardian things of the path. Henry climbed tirelessly on. What could old Merlin have to tell him, or perhaps to give him? A lotion to make his skin tough and proof against arrows? Some charm? Words to protect him from the devil's many little servants? But Merlin was to talk and he to listen, and what Merlin said might cure young Henry of his yearnings, might keep him here in Cambria for always. That could not be, for there were outland forces, nameless foreign ghosts calling to him and beckoning from across the mysterious sea. There was no desire in him for a state or condition, no picture in his mind of the thing to be when he had followed his longing, but only a burning and a will overpowering to journey outward and outward after the earliest risen star. The path broke on a top of solid stone, semi-spherical like the crown of a hat, and on the peak of its rise was the low round house of Merlin, all fitted of irregular rough rocks, and a conical roof on it like a candle snuffer. The old man met him at the door before he could knock. "I'm young Henry Morgan, sir, and I'm going outward from here to the Indies." "Indeed, and are you? Will you come in and talk to me about it?" The voice was clear and low and lovely as a young wind crooning in a springtime orchard. There was the music of singing in it, the quiet singing of a man working with tools, and underneath, half heard or completely imagined, there rang the seeming of harp strings lightly touched and left to thrill. The single room was thick carpeted in black, and on the walls were hung harp and spearhead all way round, small Welsh harps and the great bronze leaf spears of the Britons, and these against the unfinished stone. Below these were the all-seeing windows, wherefrom you might look out on 3 valleys and a mighty family of mountains, and lower still a single bench circled around the room against the wall. There was a table in the center loaded with tattered books, and beside it a copper brazier set on a Greek tripod of black iron. The great hound nuzzled Henry as he entered, so that he drew away in fright. For is there anything under the blue cup so deadly as the merest notice of a red-eared dog? "You're going to the Indies. Sit here, boy. See, you can watch your home valley now, so that it go not flying off to Avalon." The harps caught up his tones and hummed an answering faint resonance. "My father said I was to come here and tell you of my going and listen to your speech. My father thinks your speech may keep me here." "Going to the Indies," Merlin repeated. "Will you be seeing Elizabeth before you go, and making grand promises to flutter the heart of her, and strangle the breath in her after you're gone, from thinking of the things you will bring back to her?" Henry blushed deeply. "Who told you I thought at all of the little rat?" he cried. "Who is it says at all that I care for her?" "Oh, the wind whispered something," said Merlin, "and then there was some word of it in your talking cheeks, and your blustering just now. I think you should be speaking to Elizabeth, not to me. Your father should have known better." His voice died away. Then he spoke again, it was with sad earnestness. "Must you leave your father, boy, and he so sure alone in the valley of men who are not like him? Yes, I think you must go. The plans of boys are serious things and unchangeable. But what can I say to you to keep you here, young Henry? Your father sends me a task difficult to fulfill. I went out on a tall Spanish ship 1,000 years ago. It must be more than that, or perhaps I did not go at all and only dreamed it. We came at last on these green Indies, and they were lovely but unchanging. Their cycle is a green monotony. If you go there, you must give up the year, must lose the pang of utter dread in the deep winter, with its boding that the world has fled solar fealty to go careening into lonely space, so that spring may never come again. And you must lose that wild, excited quickening when the sun turns back, the joy of it flooding over you like the surge of a warm wave and choking you with pleasure and relief. No change there, none at all. Past and future mingle in an odious, eternal now. But there's no change here, young Henry interposed. Year on top of year are the crops put in and new calves licked by their mothers. Year on top of year is a pig slaughtered and the ham smoked. Spring comes, surely, but nothing happens. True enough, blind boy, and I see that we are talking of different things. Merlin looked out of his windows to the mountains and the valleys, and a great love for the land shone in his eyes. But when he turned back to the boy, there was the look of pain on his face. His voice took on the cadence of a song. I will plead with you for this dear Cambria, where time is piled mountain high and crumbling, ancient days about its base, he cried passionately. Have you lost your love of wild Cambria, that you would leave it when the blood of your 1,000 ancestors has gone soaking into the soil to keep it Cambria for always? Have you forgotten that you are of the Trojan race? Ah, but they wandered too, didn't they, when Pergamus fell in? Henry said, I have lost no love, sir, but my dream is over the sea that I do not know. I know Cambria. But, boy, here great Arthur lived, who drove his standards into Rome and sailed away undying to dear Avalon. And Avalon itself lies off our coasts, somewhere over the sunken cities. There it floats endlessly. And have you not heard them, Henry? The ghosts of all those good, brave, quarrelsome, inefficient men? Lulog Gifts and Belarius and Arthur and Cadwallo and Brute? They walk like clouds through the land and guard it from the high places. There are no ghosts in the Indies, and no Tylwyth Teg. In these wild black hills there are 1,000,000 mysteries. Have you found out the chair of Arthur, or the meaning of the circling stones? Have you heard the voices that cry out triumph in the night, and the hunters of souls with their screaming horns and their packs of blue hounds who rush into the village on the storm? I have heard them, said Henry, shuddering. He glanced shyly at the dog asleep on the floor, and spoke in a lower tone. The curate says these things are lies. He says the Red Book is a book for little children before the fire, and a shame for men and big boys to be believing in. He told us at church school that these were lying tales and unchristian. Arthur was an unimportant chieftain, he said, and Merlin, whose name you bear, a figment of the mad brain of Geoffrey of Monmouth. He even spoke ill of the Tylwyth Teg, and of the corpse candles, and of such as his honor, your dog here. Oh, the fool, cried Merlin in disgust, the fool to be breaking these things. And he offers instead a story given to the world by 12 collaborators with rather slovenly convictions in some matters. Why must you go, boy? Do you not see that the enemies of Cambria fight no more with a sword, but with little pointed tongues? The harps sang his question, then slowly ceased their throbbing, and there was silence in the round house. Henry studied the floor with drawn brows. At last he said, There is so much bother about me. I cannot seem to talk of this thing, Merlin. I will come back. Surely I will, when this burning for new things is quenched. But don't you see that I must go? For it seems that I am cut in half, and only one part of me here. The other piece is over the sea, calling and calling me to come and be whole. I love Cambria, and I will come back when I'm whole again. Merlin searched the boy's face closely. Sadly he looked up at his harps. I think I understand, he said softly. You are a little boy. You want the moon to drink from as a golden cup, and so it is very likely that you will become a great man if only you remain a little child. All the world's great have been little boys who wanted the moon. Running and climbing, they sometimes caught a firefly. But if one grow to a man's mind, that mind must see that it cannot have the moon, and would not want it if it could, and so it catches no fireflies. "But did you never want the moon?" asked Henry in a voice hushed with the room's quiet. "I wanted it. Above all desires I wanted it. I reached for it, and then I grew to be a man and a failure. But there is this gift for the failure. Folk know he has failed, and they are sorry and kindly and gentle. He has the whole world with him, a bridge of contact with his own people, the cloth of mediocrity. But he who shields a firefly in his hands, caught in reaching for the moon, is doubly alone. He only can realize his true failure, can realize his meanness and fears and evasions. You will come to your greatness, and it may be in time you will be alone in your greatness and no friend anywhere. Only those who hold you in respect or fear or awe. I am sorry for you, boy with the straight, clear eyes which look upward longingly. I am sorry for you, and, Mother Heaven, how I envy you." Dusk was stealing into the mountain creases, filling them with purple mist. The sun cut itself on a sharp hill and bled into the valleys. Long shadows of the peaks crept out into the fields like stalking gray cats. When Merlin spoke, it was with a little laugh. "Do not think deeply of my words," he said, "for I myself am not at all sure of them. Dreams you may know by a quality we call inconsistency. But how could you classify the lightning?" Now the night was closing in quickly, and Henry jumped to his feet. "Oh, but I must be going. The dark is in." "Yes, you must go. But do not think closely of my words. I may have been trying to impress you with these words. Old men need a certain silent flattery when they have come to distrust that which is spoken. Only remember that Merlin talked with you, and if you come on the Welsh folk anywhere, singing my songs that were made so long ago, tell them that you know me. Tell them that I am a glorious creature with blue wings. I don't want to be forgotten, Henry. That is greater horror to an old man than death, to be forgotten." Henry said, "I must be going now. It's really dark. And thank you, sir, for telling me these things. But you see, I must be sailing outward to the Indies." Merlin laughed softly. "Of course you must, Henry. And catch a big firefly, won't you? Goodbye, child." Henry looked back once as the black silhouette of the house sank behind the crag's shoulder, but no light had flashed behind the windows. Old Merlin sat there pleading with his harps, and they echoed him jeeringly. The boy quickened his steps down the path. All below was a black lake, and the firelight stars reflections in its deep. The wind had died, leaving a thick silence on the hills. Everywhere the sad, soundless ghosts flitted about their haunting. Henry walked carefully, his eyes on the path, which glimmered pale blue before him. End of Chapter 1, Section 3.